Benchwarmers, we're back at it one more time this week. International break is over, guys, and I know it's a huge sigh of relief for the rest of us that want to see the weekend games pick back up. And we won't see another international break until March, which is actually going to be pretty good for all of us rooting on our clubs. I like that. I like that coordinated cheer from both of you guys. I love it.
That
I love
silent
it.
cheer.
Everybody feels that way.
That silent cheer.
Yeah, it's a literal cheer from everyone. This is going to be your Gameweek 9 preview fantasy episode. My name is Diego, the stat troll, joined tonight by Erik, the instigator, and
Marco the interrupter.
Marco the interrupter Cruz. Guys, it's been a long time since we touched fantasy. How are your teams doing? Did you guys save your transfers? Did you make any?
I'll go first. Go, man. I did my transfer the day that we recorded the last episode. So I might have got fucked, but I didn't. I don't think I did because as of right now, my two transfers are able to play this upcoming week.
I held on to my transfers, I was being a little more playing more safe than Marco was, but I understand the gamble is always nice to take every now and then. Pretty happy with my team so far, so I think I have some room to make some pretty good transfers coming up.
That's good. It's a good strategy for anyone who's just listening to this and you're worried, you're wondering on what to do. You might be listening to this by Friday in the afternoon or in the morning, maybe at night. But right now, the strategy is from a huge consensus of people is to just hold and see what the updates are for the managers and their press conferences by Friday night. We don't have any Friday matches, thankfully, so that's not going to mess us up. We have an early kickoff on Saturday, 7:30. So the deadline is going to be 6 a.m. And we're going to get right into what we usually start with is the Benchwarmers Club. This is, again, a reminder. Each of the top 6 teams leave Benchwarmer, unfortunately, out of the action for the full 90 minutes, and we put them into our Benchwarmers Club. And at the end of the season, we're going to see who was the ultimate benchwarmer in the Premier League. Right now, Manchester City, last week in week 8, they left Phil Foden on the bench. He had a pretty good international break, scoring 2 goals and featuring very well for England. So he might be someone who isn't sitting for the next coming game weeks, especially with Aguero and KDB as possible outs. Liverpool, Divock Origi. We haven't seen Origi in quite a long time, and I think it's for a good reason. Diogo Jota, which we'll get to later on in our notes for the Game Week 9. Diogo Jota has been keeping this guy off of the pitch. He's almost keeping Firmino off the pitch too, so Origi joins the Benchwarmers Club. For the other 4 clubs in the top 6, Granit Xhaka, it's been pretty much a throw up in the midfield. Or up in the air in the midfield for Arsenal. They've been relying very heavily on Partey, who's been featuring very well, and Ceballos switching in there, and El Neni also. But it looks like maybe even Xhaka might feature because that COVID positive for El Neni could shake things up. For Chelsea, we have Callum Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi, Caltech hasn't been featuring very much. It looks like these new buys are finally starting to gel for the Chelsea team. We do have from the presser today that Lampard had given as of recording. He confirmed that Pulisic and Thiago are going to be out. And there's a few other confirmed outs on the Chelsea team. He might be called back in, but it looks like maybe Ziyech and Werner are going to be spearheading the attack for Chelsea. For United, Van de Beek sits out yet again. And it looks like he's going to keep scoring for Holland and the Netherlands as often as possible to try to change that narrative. And for Spurs, it looks like Aurier has been the forgotten man. That fullback position has been switched quite a bit between Davies and Aurier and Doherty and Reguilon, and utilizing which ones on those fullbacks to try to get that counter-attacking style by Mourinho. Those are your 6 names for the Benchwarmers Club. Moving forward, guys, getting into the watch list, we're going to go off the names really quickly, just so you guys know who we're looking at for this week that is coming up. And the first name on the list is Reece James. Reece James at $5 million. He's played 90 minutes the last few game weeks. He's pretty much becoming a regular. He has been part of the improvement defensive that Chelsea has shown. Like I said earlier, Lampard has confirmed that Thiago is out, so they may need to shift someone into that center back role, and it could afford Reece James a go on the fullback position. Ruben Diaz from Manchester City, $5.5 million. like we had mentioned in the previous recording, if you had listened to the last episode, Manchester City has some pretty tasty fixtures from game week 10 through 15. And if he starts featuring and playing for a Manchester City side that hopefully starts getting those clean sheets, it looks like Ruben Diaz is probably the cheaper alternative to a Cancelo that might not be, I guess, confirmed as a nailed-on spot for his team. This one was a little bit, it's going to sound crazy, but don't turn off the recording or the stream just yet. Theo Walcott at Southampton, 5.8 million. He's been, if you hear me out, he's been doing okay, and he's been improving at Southampton under Hasenhüttl. It looks like with Danny Ings being out, Hasenhüttl has been experimenting more with utilizing Walcott as a force that drives forward for their team. He's been involved in the attack. He could have scored in game week 8. He was unlucky to not have scored. And I think if he would have gotten a goal and been featured a bit more prominently in that game, I wouldn't sound so crazy right now. But I'm just putting Walcott there because it's a watch list. We're watching these players and we're seeing how they're doing as, I guess, who we can pick up for the game weeks ahead. Next name, and we had just mentioned him earlier with our Benchwarmers Club list, Diogo Jota, 6.5 million. He's a ridiculous price for a Liverpool attacker. And with Salah being out, I know a lot of people, Erik included, is looking at offloading Salah for someone else in the creative section of the midfield. But for those people looking to keep on Liverpool because of their fixtures, you know, I'm surprised Jota hasn't been looked at too much. Now, he is playing a bit more forward. And if I'm not mistaken, he might be a different position. So I'm going to check that so I don't look crazy. But Diogo Jota, 6.5 million. He started 3 out of the last 5 games. He's making a good case for not sitting on the bench too much for Jurgen Klopp. And with all the defensive injuries that they have, he might adopt pretty much a strategy of let's just score more than they can score on us. So it could be goals galore for Diogo Jota. The other name, even though we've been personally, I guess, critical of this guy on the bench, Gabriel Jesus, 9.3 million. Aguero is due to return pretty soon, but for the most part, it looks like Jesus is going to have to be leading that attacking line. Sterling just hasn't been doing it. As a Sterling owner, that's very frustrating for myself, but Jesus could be someone that you could actually hop onto pretty early. He's been featuring in their main attack. He's owned by about 1% of people in the game, so it's a big differential pick. Out of these names, guys, and I know that I hope you guys won't slag me for the Walcott shout, but what are you guys thinking out of these names? And actually, if you could each give me one name that you're looking at to pick up for this game week, what are you looking at, Erik?
So I actually give you props on mentioning Theo Walcott. I was reading a lot about him and how he's actually found his new, like a second win, I guess you could say, in his career in Southampton again. So it's actually good to see him. But the one player I would say definitely pick up, I've already picked him up, is Diogo Jota. Salah's going to be out for at least this week and most likely next week as well. He is obviously scoring on all cylinders already. He's not holding back. So why not? He's a safe bet, in my opinion.
I like that. You see, Erik took the gamble, and now he's sitting pretty for this week. I know he's smiling about that. Marco, who are you looking at to pick up for your squad?
Well, I can't pick up anybody for this week because I already did my picks. So, for game week, 10?
Yes.
I'll look to see if I do make a swap for Jota. Let's see how this works. I think they're playing against Leicester City, so I'm okay not having Jota for this one game. I'll look at to see how they're playing, who they play in the next 5 matches after Leicester City, and then I'll make my choice.
Stop copying me.
I brought it up first, and then you just
I knew he was going to say that.
Ran with it.
I mean, didn't think to pick him up.
I brought it up first, and then you're like, "Oh, let me beat Marco to it, so I can give him shit afterwards." So
who has Jota on the team?
You. How many points did you make? You 2.
Do you have? I'm sorry. Do we have to look at the table real quick?
I mean, no.
I'll bring it up. No, continue.
It's useless because I already said it. I don't care. My goal this year is to walk away above GAT. I'm a winner. Yes. The minute I'm above GAT, I'm a winner. So I don't care if you are in first place and I'm in 10th place, but as long as GAT is on 11th place, I walked away a winner.
We'll get to the table and review the Benchwarmers FC Fantasy League just to shout out the people that have been doing well. To not self-correct myself because I got it right. Jota is still classified as a midfielder.
Yes,
and that could be a pretty juicy switch actually. I've been looking at some of the price changes during the time of recording, and it looks like a lot of people are doing a sideways swap to Mane, which is a bit odd, honestly. In my opinion, it's a bit odd to pick up Mane, but I know that there is, if I'm not mistaken here, I know that there's an underlying stat that apparently Mane does better whenever Salah isn't there. Like he just puts the team and the goals on his back. So again, I do want to remind everyone about the disclaimer. Any and all changes that you make are part of your own liability, and we cannot be held responsible. Neither myself nor the Benchwarmers FC crew for any changes that you make to your own team. Moving forward, guys, some of the names that I've dropped, and I want to bring up these names that we dropped from the watch list. Eiling and Dallas from Leeds United. Honestly, in the beginning of the season and the first 4 or 5 game weeks, they look pretty good as far as going forward. And they still look good going forward. But the thing is that for defenders, especially for fullbacks, which we encourage, I guess, which I would encourage personally to pick fullbacks, which can also go forward. We want them to, I guess, the bare minimum to have clean sheets or the possibility of clean sheets. Leeds have been conceding goals left and right. They've been conceding many goals. And the current 4-1, the latest 4-1 result against Crystal Palace doesn't really support having Eiling or Dallas on your team. Yes, they could be pretty cheap. Yes, they can get you the odd goal. I know Dallas scored, I think, 2 weeks ago. 2 game weeks ago since the international break, and it just doesn't look like a smart pick. The next one, James Ward-Prowse. I know I had mentioned James Ward-Prowse on the last watch list for someone to look at. Honestly, with the resurgence of what it looks like a more forward-driven Walcott and even Stuart Armstrong, they're just more involved with the attack. Ward-Prowse does have the free kicks, but it just looks like a very vanilla, like a very boring pick at the moment. You would want someone who can put in that cross or who can finish that off chance in the box. Harvey Barnes at Leicester City. Harvey Barnes was someone that a lot of people were looking at, but he was benched game week 8. He'll probably feature back in the team. Unfortunately for Barnes, it looks like Jamie Vardy is the main attacking threat. Even with a penalty missed and a penalty scored in their last match, Jamie Vardy is definitely the person that you want to have. Some people have also been looking at Yuri Tielemans. Madison hasn't had consistent minutes yet. So we could see Barnes benched yet again. I know Tielemans had a great international break as well, featuring for his side for Belgium, getting that goal. So I guess we're looking at Barnes getting dropped for the time being. And Ryan Brewster, Sheffield United, I got him as an enabler. And I thought that, at least for me, he'd be able to come off the bench and get some odd points, maybe even a 2 or 3 points if possible. But he hasn't got any minutes and he hasn't gotten any goals. So it's definitely a lost spot in the forward line. And I'm looking very much at upgrading Brewster, hopefully, to someone. And I have many names coming forward in the notes section for the people that can replace that third forward slot. Looking at our Benchwarmers FC Fantasy League boys, we have in Kepa We Trust, first place, 63 points after game week 8. Biden Harris 2020, managed by Dimitri. Second place, he's moved up on 67 points of the last game week. And third place is on Vo with I Love You, Hannah Spreehy, it looks like. I'm just going to pronounce it like that. Third place for On. I'm sitting in 8th. I've dropped quite a bit. I've made some bad choices, some bad takes in the last few game weeks, so I'm not surprised there. Nick Martinez, who's been showing up for us on the Benchwarmer side since winning the league last season. He is up to 6th place. He has a little green arrow, which I'm sure is nice for him. And Erik has a green arrow as well, 72-pointer. Last week had a banger of a game week when a lot of people were just above the bare minimum. He moves up to 12th. Josue is bounced to 13th, and it looks like we might have a bit of a mountain to climb for It Got Messy, Let's Party. Marco is in 23rd, and for the time being, while we're recording, we have Gat in 14th place. So
I mean, look,
the difference here, though, we have to keep in mind that the difference is about 50 odd points or so, which you can definitely make. There's definitely a lot of time. There's definitely a lot of time, Marco. So don't give up. Don't give up.
Oh, yo, I got tired, man. 23rd. My wrist hurts. I was scrolling down so much looking for Marco.
That's perfectly fine, my guy.
We have
the 1 year he takes it seriously.
We have one new manager that's coming in. So just a reminder for everybody, it's an open league, and we encourage everyone to join our fantasy league just to have fun with us and to get a shot at winning a special prize from the Benchwarmers. So guys, coming into the notes and for the, I guess, what we could look at for game week 9 to look ahead, there's a big conundrum for Salah. And you mentioned it really quickly, Erik. Salah has been confirmed to be out, at least for this game week on Saturday, because of this COVID positive test. He could be out for another game week if he doesn't recover, if he doesn't show a negative test as of, I think, early next week, if I'm not mistaken. So who do we pick up? I think the biggest divide here is KDB or Bruno. People want to pick either of those two creators to kind of jump on the fact that they have good fixtures going forward. What do I think? Having Salah, if I can find out by tomorrow, and tomorrow meaning Friday, if I can find out by Friday before the deadline that there's a good chance that Salah is out for both game week 9 and 10, I'm just selling. And I think at this point, if you have some value tied up in Salah, I know some managers like to not give up on players that they have team value built up on. Would you rather have 2.2 or 0.3 in the bank, or maybe 30 points if you captain the right player next week? I think that's how we have to look at it. And I'm looking at it that way as well. Between Bruno or KDB, though, I think either of those are a good shout. On paper, you see Bruno has the best fixture as far as facing West Brom. KDB has the team that is basically, we would hopefully say, fixture proof if he gets back up and running. So we were looking at that. The forward line that I had mentioned, Brewster, a lot of people have been looking at between Bamford, Watkins, and Adams. So I know, Marco, you still have Bamford, correct? And Erik, I'm not sure if you have any of those three names on your forward line. You have Bamford as well. So Bamford, Watkins, Adams, they're all fine picks for the next few game weeks. I would say, however, personally, that I believe Watkins has better fixtures, and a lot of people have been jumping on the Grealish bandwagon. So to kind of maximize on those Aston Villa games, you might want to go either Grealish or Watkins if you have that empty slot in your third forward to try to upgrade or even downgrade if you have someone that's expensive. Bamford is a very close second place because he just has a lot of chances. Even though they got basically played off the pitch against Crystal Palace, he had a lot of chances and he still scored his goal even after having one, ticked off by VAR. And Che Adams, I think I would put him on a low third because he really, it's not Ings, but he's cheap. So we might be looking at that. Guys, I have a question for you both. Do you guys still have your wild cards?
No.
Yes, I do.
So Marco, I guess this is a moment in time where I can only tell you that you're SOL. That's my best advice. But for Erik and other managers that have been patient with their wild cards, this could be the moment that you can change around your season. Honestly, I like using my wild card during the December fixtures. I've always liked to plan for that. So between game weeks like 16, 17, 18, before obviously the first wild card expires, I like using the wild card because at that point we have a very solid idea of who are the performers in the league. And then with the injuries, with the fixture congestions, with the rotations, wild carding late in the first half of the season is basically what I've always looked at. However, this international break, the injuries, the COVIDs, all of this stuff combined, I think now game week 9, if you're listening to this, hopefully before the deadline, or even game week 10, if you listen to this after the deadline, I think this is a good time to use a wild card if you have it. If you have a lot of fires to put out in your team. Now, if you have a free transfer or if you have 2 free transfers, use them for sure. Try to hold on to that wild card. But if you have a lot of flagged players, a lot of red triangles, a lot of yellow triangles, the injuries, the 25% possibility of playing, The whole Salah conundrum. If you have players that are out like Chilwell, like Thiago, like Robertson, and I mean Thiago Alcantara.
You said Chilwell?
Chilwell might be. Lampard
injury,
said
right?
he hasn't seen Chilwell personally. It looked like he was just being treated for a back spasm. So whoever does have Chilwell, it's not an alarm, but there is a possibility that he might not start, or he might not play the entire match. We're not sure of that yet. Lampard wasn't very, I guess, clear on that, but we'll see how that goes. The wild card is your best friend right now if you have a team that you want to change and get ahead of the pack, because there are players that are going to be out for a while. It looks like Alexander-Arnold's still going to be out for 3 weeks as well. We have some doubts on Robertson too. I'm not sure. We saw Joe Gomez go out for a long time. I'm not sure how many people have Joe Gomez as like a cheap way into Liverpool defense. What I'm trying to say is, if you don't have the transfers available, and if taking at least one hit makes it impossible for you to have a decent team with at least your entire starters playing, use the wild card. Just use it. And that's something that I'm even considering right now. What are we looking at as far as who the captain choice is? So Marco, who are you going to captain for game week 9?
I'm debating. The two people that I have in mind right now is Grealish and Calvert-Lewin. Right now the seat is on Calvert-Lewin. I'm not sure if it's going to be there by Saturday. I'm still debating.
So Calvert-Lewin, Grealish. Erik, what are you looking at?
This pains me to do, but I'm gonna do it. I already did the transfer as we were recording. I took out Salah. I brought in Bruno Fernandes, and I'm captaining in Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes captain.
So I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass, but you know what? I'm gonna take your advice.
Listen, I already said the disclaimer, okay. So
I'm not blaming you. I'm not blaming you. It's on me. I'm taking this. I
appreciate that. He also said
I appreciate that. Unlike some people on this pod and on this bench that like to blame others for the choices that they make to their teams.
Erik, I'm on your left. On my screen. On my screen on your left, it looks better if you point this way. That way, there you
go. It looks like for at least what the consensus is for the captain choice, Bruno, like I had mentioned earlier, it's the best fixture on paper. West Brom have been able to hold their own this season after starting poorly, but they're still, again, out of the top 5 leagues among like the 3 worst teams for conceding chances. So at least it looks like a safe pick to captain Bruno. Another differential, which Marco had mentioned, are either Jack Grealish or Mikel Antonio for West Ham. Those 2 guys have definitely been featuring for their teams this season early, and it looked like Antonio had confirmed himself on a live stream during the press conference that he is fit and that he's training. He was an injury concern. So West Ham have some good fixtures. So if you have him, that could be someone to maybe throw the armband on. What I feel like could be a differential and more of a risk is putting it on either Ziyech or Werner, like on a Chelsea player. I think with losing Thiago, they might have a bit more of a concern with, okay, let's not concede. And it could be a game where they score just 1 goal. I'm not saying they're going to lose. I'm saying that it might be a situation where they don't score a lot. As for myself, I've decided just to wait. I was really considering doing the same Bruno switch just to get him into the squad. I'm looking right now, actually, to see if there are any. I think there are updates. Okay, so it looks like while recording, it looks like only Mane has gone up in value and price. So that's a weird one for me. Mane going up in price for that sideways switch. I'm not sure, but it could pay off. It could pay off for the people that brought him in for Salah in the time being. However, if you are confused on who to switch, who to bring in, make sure that you follow us and that you continue following the fantasy episodes for this season. We appreciate everyone that has been listening to us and has been tuning in. We'll see how the game week goes and if Marco can make up ground on Gat's team in game week 9. Guys, I wish you guys both luck because it's going to be a difficult time back, I think. I just have this feeling in the pit of my stomach that either like the players that we drop are going to do well, the players that we could have gotten and we didn't are going to do well. I just feel like some fraudulence is going to happen. Anyway, though, we'll wrap up with that. Thank you guys again for listening. My name is Diego, joined tonight by Erik, the instigator, and Marco, the interrupter. Cruz. We're the Benchwarmers, the bench of the voice, or the bench is always warm.
Yeah, I'm coming for you.